It's that time of the year again. When news of the new car starts rolling in from the F1 manufacturers, we know it's time to get our gears ready for the racing year. F1 launch season is one of the busiest phases of the year as teams pull the covers off their new challengers and set out key targets for the campaign ahead. For teams like Aston Martin, who have two-time champion Fernando Alonso at the wheel and a brand new challenger set to be unveiled very soon, the future looks very bright. Not only that, the team's deputy technical chief, Eric Blandon, has hinted that the AMR 23 will be a massive departure from last year's car. Rumor has it that this new car will take advantage of some of the loopholes in the FIA rules. What could Aston Martin be up to now? Keep watching to find out how they plan to take Formula One by storm. It's an exciting time to be a Formula One fan. The 2022 season may have ended only a few weeks ago, but the teams are already hard at work on preparations for this year, with the new cars, which have been under development for months. As of now, every team has confirmed the release date of their new vehicles, except for Haas. Williams has chosen an online season premiere on February 6th ahead of Alfa Romeo on February 7th in Zurich, and AlphaTauri will debut their new technology for the first time on February 11th in New York City. Aston Martin and McLaren have set February 13th as the date for the unveiling of their new vehicles at the respective Silverstone and Woking plants. The next day, the unnamed Ferrari will be revealed, and Mercedes, the 8-time Constructors' Champions, will debut their W14 on February 15th, one day after Ferrari. Aston Martin was the first to reveal when the world will see the first look of their next challenger, the AMR 23, with the covers scheduled to come off on February 13th. The ceremony will take place at the team's Silverstone headquarters, where construction on a new £200 million headquarters is underway. Owner Lawrence Stroll hopes this new headquarters will help boost the former Racing Point outfit to the front of the grid and, eventually, championship-winning glory. Aston Martin is prepared to disclose some creative ideas for its new car for 2023 after discovering certain loopholes in Formula One regulations, but these likely become insignificant when compared to the alleged budget cap trickery at work. As Aston Martin prepares to unveil the AMR 23 at its Silverstone factory, Chief Technical Director Eric Blandon revealed that the team had put some interesting concepts into action. He spoke at length about this in an interview published on the Aston Martin website. Blandon admitted that the clever innovations they have put in the new car are just the icing on the cake. In his words, it's special when you find a loophole in the rules that you can use to your advantage, but it's not every day that a team can build an entire car around it. What on earth could Aston Martin have in store for us? It seems his words are a hint at the real work that's going on behind closed doors at the Aston Martin base. The technical director isn't shy about telling the whole world about the engineering loopholes they found. The interview goes a bit further to discuss the details of their new project. Blandon admitted that whenever they want to start work on a new car, they have to go back and take a look at the limitations they faced with last year's car. The point is to find a way to overcome those limitations with a new design. Once they get the basics of the car right, they can then begin to add some new features. Their greatest problem has been trying to decide on the car build that has the greatest potential for the future. He also said quite plainly that Aston Martin's car this year would be very different from the one they used last year. The racing outfit has taken all the hard lessons from last year and applied them to this year's car. Almost all of the AMR 23 is completely new tech, far different from what they used in the AMR 22. Aston Martin changed as much as 90% of the car parts and replaced almost all of the aerodynamic surfaces. Blandon also stresses that the team will not attempt to fool supporters by revealing a repainted AMR 22 at the start. An Aston Martin factory employee whistleblower has approached the media once more with reports of budget cap fraud, for lack of a better word. It's commonly known that Aston Martin has made significant investments in its F1 program. The former Force India Racing Point operation has changed in a quite dramatic way over the last few years. This information comes from a very dependable team member who's been a whistleblower on multiple occasions. The most recent being the disaster the team faced this time last year with an imperfectly designed car which barely made it through winter testing. This was the same employee who revealed that Aston Martin failed to make the first winter test in 2015 owing to unpaid supplier debts. Employees were indeed promised incentives that never materialized. The source details a scheme put in place to bypass the budget cap by having AMR staff be paid by companies different from the racing team. According to the information, 168 AMR F1 employees were transferred to a company known as Formtech. They're all still working the same jobs, wearing AMR uniforms and receiving all of the job perks and bonuses, but they are not on the AMR F1 budget. They also earned a 5,000 sterling bonus paid at the end of October 2021, with another 5,000 paid at the end of October 2022 to anyone who stayed on for the full year. Nobody will ever know how accurate the details in this message are. However, it's unlikely that many people in the paddock, even the fan base, were surprised that this type of loophole was being used. In 2022, additional employees were transferred, this time to Aston Martin GP Services Limited. The same work positions and everything, but without the $5,000 incentive. If you sum it all up, this is around 200 people doing the same jobs they have done for years. They're still wearing the AMR F1 green uniform, but the only difference is the bank account they get their salaries from. If this is widespread within the Formula One industry, which it looks to be, if former Aston Martin team head Otmar Szafnauer is to be believed, it's difficult to see how the FIA and FOM would efficiently control it, casting doubt on the budget cap's future reliability. Szafnauer also confirmed budget cap dodging was prolific in the top teams. He said that he thinks some of the other teams, especially the big teams, have found new ways to exploit the loopholes in the rules. They've gotten to the point where they claim they fired 100 employees, but now they want to hire them back. They're allowed to do so because these teams have found tasks for them within the cap where they are either not counted as a whole person or are performing marketing or something similar. The deputy tech leader, who's previously led aero teams at Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes, hasn't commented on the allegations. Aside from their new car, the only other topic he wishes to talk about is their new driver, Alonso. Blandon also stated in his interview that Alonso has already had a big impact on the development of AMR 23. He stated that Fernando's feedback is remarkably accurate. Alonso expressed clearly what he needed from the car and instantly recognized a few elements that the team was able to incorporate into the design of the AMR 23. Fernando drove a car that was very different from theirs last season. To be honest, the car he was driving was far more competitive. When getting into the AMR 22, he was instantly able to compare the two cars and declare which components are definitely better and which are worse. This is what the Aston Martin crew is concentrating on before revealing their new vehicle. Aston Martin ranked 7th in the Constructors' Championship the last 2 seasons and will be aiming for a huge stride forward in 2023, especially with a large number of new talent on board, including new technical director Dan Fallows, who was recruited from Red Bull. The AMR 23 will be Fernando Alonso's first Aston Martin, with the 2-time world champion joining the squad for this year following 2 seasons at Alpine. Alonso will join teammate Lance Stroll and will take over for Sebastian Vettel, who left Ferrari after 2 years with the club. Alonso, a former Renault, McLaren, and Ferrari driver, has high expectations for this season after getting his first taste of Aston Martin gear at the post-season test in Abu Dhabi in November. Alonso said he was honored to drive for such a renowned company after completing 97 laps in the 2022 car. It would be interesting to see how he takes over this new and improved car. How do you think Aston Martin will perform in this new and improved season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.